Last time we spoke about Dota Underlords was the day the game went into open beta and was released on mobile platforms. Close to 2 weeks later, the game's team has proven themselves to be a standout example of what Valve can do if they accept the forces of change in the industry. With an incredibly active development team on both Twitter and Discord, the public's interaction and ability to be close to the process is a first for Valve fans, and with the number that this game has been capable of pulling in the following weeks from launch is astonishing everyone, even Valve. This hopefully will be the start of more changes to come in the future, instead of an isolated incident. Now, to best understand exactly what may happen in the future, let's study the past, specifically all the major events that have occurred following the initial open beta release for Dota Underlords, and what might be in store for the game in the coming weeks and months. This video is sponsored by Marketplace.tf. Check out the link down in the description below if you want to be able to trade and sell all your Team Fortress 2 and now Dota 2 items. Marketplace.tf has opened up the ability to sell your Dota 2 inventories for real-world money and get that money sent to your PayPal account with no added hidden fees, just a 10% commission cut. Underlords players, if you have a large unused inventory from Dota 2, there might be a lot of money sitting underneath your noses. So check out Marketplace.tf to start making some money on your unused Dota 2 and Team Fortress 2 items. Not even a full day following the open beta release, the official Underlords Twitter made a post regarding the future of the game based on the initial feedback. Quote, "Based on your feedback, these are the features we are working on right now and shipping soon. A full scoreboard, social features such as scrolling through the map, hearing other players' fights, and a full chat, hero voice acting, balance changes to the Dragon Alliance, Dragon units and items including the boots, and things that are being explored, turbo mode. We hear ya, so we've started some design experiments. Let us know what you want from the game's length and any other random ideas, we're all ears. We'll also be shipping an update today with fixes and small UI improvements. As always, your feedback guides our work and we really appreciate it." End quote. That update was pushed only an hour later, and with it came balance changes, bug fixes, and most importantly, remappable hotkeys. Later that evening, team member Bruno tweeted this picture with the caption, "Adding features." The picture shows what is likely an early implementation of the in-game chat function, taking the place of the normal event notifications seen in-game. This version would likely allow players to select a new option when clicking on the avatar for typing a custom response. That said, the placement of this chat system and any player-to-player communication in general is a point of contention within the community, some requesting a complete redesign of the activity feed for the PC in general. That evening, the concurrent players for Underlords peaked at around 202,000 players, topping the peak of Team Fortress 2, Artifact, and Left 4 Dead 2. With the game being a mobile free-to-play affair, that's to be expected, but it also raises the questions as to what exactly was Valve thinking in relation to Artifact, but I digress. The next few days saw the developers on Discord and Twitter discussing balance changes the team intended to make, with the Dragon Alliance and related heroes being the main focus. When the balance update was pushed for the 26th of June, the Dragons received a sizable buff, while also changing some items around, such as adding Pocket Sand, changing the Boots of Speen to the Tranquil Boots, as well as adding the Pipe of Insight. The impression the community got from the team following this update was one of surprise. Not only were these updates timely, but they were in direct response to the popular talking points of that day. To explain what I mean, Valve has always claimed that they lurk everywhere with the intention of collecting data on what the communities of their projects think and feel about their work, including things that they'd like to see added, changed, or removed. This has happened to an extent in the past with Team Fortress 2 and CSGO. However, these changes were on such a delay that it sometimes seemed to most of the communities that Valve can't react fast enough to solve the largest problems facing their own games. Underlords is a completely different beast. The day an issue gains any traction, the community can expect to see someone from the team actively discussing it with players on Reddit, Twitter, and Discord. No longer is Valve lurking in the shadows. No longer does their argument of, if we intervene, we will damage the dialogue, rendering the data useless. The Underlords team is not only proving that Artifact's mistakes were a learning experience, but they are also proving that Valve's old ways of doing things may not work so much in the modern day. Case in point, not even 24 hours following the first major balance patch, a second was pushed fixing issues that people had with the first. Then on the 27th, after much teasing by the development team, new voice lines for specific heroes were added into the game, having some characters react in real time to the game taking place. I'll say it again, these are not recycled lines from Dota 2, these are new, specifically recorded for this game. The limitations on specific heroes likely only happen due to the availability of the voice talent. However, the number of lines added into the game is large. What I would would like to know is how long ago were these recorded? How quick of a turnaround is this new team at Valve capable of pulling? Is the Underlord team setting records, even if no one internally is keeping track? I am, though. The update also pushed significantly more information given to the player through the user interface and tooltips, and many bugs were fixed. Unfortunately, like every other update that we've seen today, a data mine of this update pulled nothing. Someone is cleaning these builds very well, and I hate it. Stop it. The team went silent for 2 days following this update, an amount of time any longtime Valve fan would laugh at, but unfortunately, due to the active nature of everything going on, it was uncharacteristic. For those who thought it was a problem, likely don't know that the dev team is incredibly active on the Underlords Discord server. Invite link down below, but whatever. The silence was broken on July 1st with a Steam community blog post titled "This Week's Update," which read, quote, "This week's update will arrive on Thursday. We're currently wrapping up a few experimental features we'd like to get your feedback on, and they require a bit more testing before we can put them in front of you. Features to look forward to on this Thursday's update: Warlock and Shaman Alliance and Units tweaks. 3 new items. Tweaks to the Alliance items and how they work. Tweaks to win and lose streaks. Large scoreboard, and some experimental features. The week after, you'll see the release of Progression and what we call the Proto Battle Pass. This beta Battle Pass will let us iterate on the system with you and get your feedback on what works and what doesn't, plus what kind of content you'd like to see with the Season 1 Battle Pass to include. See you all later this week. The Proto Battle Pass will be releasing next week. However, the information on it is scarce. Will it cost anything? How will the team be able to produce enough incentive for players to even use this pass, while also creating enough interesting content to incentivize people to purchase the real Season 1 pass when it releases? Now, there have been public calls for applications for contracted positions for the Underlords team for asset creation, both 2D and 3D. These applications are still open, by the way, so if you want to work at Valve, this may be your chance. Link down below. Will there be a workshop where items can be added into the battle pass directly from the community? Why is the current localization strings related to this pass mention the idea of slightly increasing player statistics for owners of the full pass? I understand that this proto pass will only exist to properly implement a full pass in the future, but exactly how far the team is willing to stray away from the formula invented in Valve's own Dota 2, a game that many working on Underlords have worked on in the past, is important. This specific feature is the single most interesting thing in my opinion, as the opportunity for change both in Underlords and Valve as a whole is vast. I hope that the team makes some decisions that may innovate how companies attempt to monetize their products. Remember, Valve invented the modern loot box in TF2, and Valve invented the modern battle pass in Dota 2. So knowing that the larger game industry is watching, let's all hope that whatever changes the team makes to their general monetization, it's pro-consumer enough to change the industry as a whole for the better. And lastly, let's talk about Adrian Fennell, the most active voice in the Underlords development team, and who is likely the project lead. Mr. Fennell has been greeting the community every morning on Discord with a morning, as well as answering many questions and being surprisingly candid about the team's process. Just this week, through only the Discord server, Mr. Fennell stated that the full screen scoreboard is almost finished and is opened by holding tab on the PC and a new button on mobile. The Shaman pluck will be changed in the balance changes, and a large UI change can be found on this Thursday's update. The hero pool, which is the overall group of heroes a player has the chance to purchase from throughout the game, is shared with each player, and items aren't. Each season, heroes, alliances, and items are going to rotate, introducing new for each category. And lastly, even on a Sunday night, Mr. Fennell is working. Quote, "I'm at home chilling working on a fun game. Sounds like a great Sunday to me," end quote. Mr. Fennell left Valve to join Blizzard a while back, and only joined back to Valve around the time of Artifact's PAX showcase, at least according to what the public knows. Why can't more of Valve be like this guy? Currently, the game is averaging between 60 and 100,000 daily concurrent players, and it seems to have averaged out in its player numbers. It's likely going to gain more once the progression and the full seasons release, likely at TI9, and I'm glad that at least some of Valve is willing to change according to what the larger industry requires. Let's just hope we can get a single-player development team to behave somewhat similarly. If you want to be able to follow up on all the topics I cover on this channel in real time, check out my Twitter page, link to that down in the description below. And if you want to be able to support all of the videos that I make, check out my Patreon page, link to that also down in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Tyler McVicker. This is Valve News Network. Have a good day. Adios. Super secret speculation. Eric Robson and Brad Muir both state on their Twitter profile bios that they work on both Underlords and Artifact. In fact, a lot of the people that we knew as Artifact developers are now on the Underlords team. For example, Adrian Fennell. There have been a few people, such as Swim and myself, that have been told about the future of Artifact. However, there's no information. And in fact, 2 of the major players on Artifact have disappeared from public eye, being Brandon Reinhardt and Jeep Barnett. It seems as if some of the major problems that the team ran into had to do with the stubbornness of Richard Garfield, as in an interview he recently did, to this day he still claims that there wasn't a single mechanical problem with the game, or a problem with the monetization strategy. And this was after he was fired and the game had completely failed. He is blaming the customer. So here's my wild theory. The Underlords and Artifact teams are the same team. They're working very closely with each other, and depending on which game is most important, resources between the 2 quote-unquote groups will be shifted. Right now, Underlords is a learning experience to be able to see if the exact opposite of things that were done with Artifact are successful, and according to how things have been going lately, they are. So we could probably expect the Artifact team, Artifact to implement these same changes and re-release as something similar to Underlords. Soon-ish. It just really depends on exactly who and when people want to work on Artifact, but for me, personally, I'd love to be able to see the game make a return. I hope I'm right, and I hope we're going to see something, or at least hear something, soon, because I am truly in it for the long haul. No joke.